In the month of July this year, I had set up a mini pond in my balcony. It was built as a low-tech setup using a simple hardscape and easy plants. A small group of guppies and snails were introduced a few days later, and an aerator was also added to the mini pond. We are now in October, and this is how the pond looks today. The frog bits are displaying prolific growth and has almost covered the surface of the water. This has its pros and cons. Floating plants are great for taking up excess nitrates and nutrients from the water. The floating foliage filters out bright light that helps to minimize algae growth. However, it will also block light for the submerged plants, affecting photosynthesis. This is not desirable. The roots of the frog bits will dig into the substrate layer, sharing soil space and nutrients with other plants. Over time, it will get difficult to remove them without disturbing the soil bed and other rooted plants. So we have some cleanup work to be done here today, but we will get to that later. The other floaters, namely the water lettuce and the red roots, haven't grown much. Sometimes, some plant species release biochemicals to restrict the growth of other plants around them. This is called allelopathy, but it is hard to say if that is the case here. As you can see, I have now secured the emerged terrestrial plants to the driftwood using cable ties. Their roots are now beginning to latch onto the wood as well. The balcony gets windy at times and the superglue was not able to hold them firmly in place. I will take this opportunity to quickly mention here that cyanoacrylate superglue is safe for use in aquascapes once it is cured and has gone through a water change. There were a few comments on the build video raising concerns about its usage, so I thought of addressing it here. You could also conduct your own research on the internet to learn more about it. The English ivy has not worked out and has lost all of its leaves. The submerged plants have grown and needs a bit of trimming, which I plan to do today along with the cleanup of algae which can be seen growing amidst the foliage. I have stopped using the aerator. I had a feeling that it was probably depleting the level of CO2 diffused in the water, which would not be good for the submerged plants. The mini pond is currently overstocked and the guppies have started multiplying. For a tub this size, about 2 to 3 pairs would be ideal. I plan to give away most of them to my friend at the local fish store. As always, I will conduct a few water tests before I proceed with the cleaning and trimming. The TDS of the water is reading 253. Guppies can tolerate a wide range of TDS, so this should be okay, but a higher TDS would be desirable. The temperature reading is 25 degrees centigrade and that should be fine. The pH is on the outer limit, reading 7.6 on the scale, which means that I will have to run a high range pH test to arrive at the correct reading. The result stands at 8.2. Commercially bred guppies can handle pH levels between 6 and 9, so this should be okay. Next, I tested for ammonia. The reading came out as 0, which is ideal. In a balanced tank, it should always be 0. Ammonia is toxic to fish and even a small amount can be harmful. Nitrite is another toxic compound in a fish tank, and like ammonia, any reading above 0 can be hazardous. Our reading here is 0, so we are good on nitrites too. The final test is for nitrates. Nitrates are converted from ammonia and nitrites by beneficial bacteria and is not lethal like ammonia and nitrites. However, high levels can negatively impact the fish and the aquarium environment. A nitrate level of 40 ppm or less is recommended for fish tanks. And our result is 0 again, which is a desired reading for any aquarist. The first step of my cleanup process involves manual removal of the floaters. This has to be done gently so as to cause minimal disturbance to the substrate bed where the roots have penetrated. I trimmed the long roots of the floaters and kept them aside. Only a handful will be going back to the pond. Next, I used my tweezers to manually remove as much of the visible algae as I could. Algae buildup in an aquatic environment is normal and can never be completely avoided. It is a function of excess nutrients, bright lighting, and warm climatic conditions. There are products available to prevent or kill algae, but I try to stay away from them. Some of the plants were trimmed during the process. The alternanthera had emerged out of water and was drying up. I clipped them so that they remain submerged. I proceeded to drain about 40% of the water using a pre-filled tube. Fish waste was siphoned off as much as possible during the process. The tub was subsequently refilled with fresh water. The emerged plants were given a misting, and I also filled the cups of the bromeliad using a wash bottle. This is something that I keep doing every other day to keep them hydrated. Once filled, I added back some of the floaters. They will multiply again, and I will have to repeat the removal process in a few months. Some of you had asked me about the lighting. I mostly rely on natural indirect lighting for this setup, but I also use a grow light from 4 pm to 10 pm every day. The last remaining thing was to feed the fish, something I really enjoy, always ensuring not to overfeed. And that is all I have for you in this video today. I hope you enjoyed this update. Thanks for watching and see you soon.